feel like sounding like Ed Sullivan when I see "Welcome to the show." Welcome to the big show. Remember they used to do that on ESPN too. Remember that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm digging the new intro.
I like
buddy.
that, huh? Pretty stuff.
I do.
Pretty good stuff. I know. I thought
do.
so. We switched it up a little bit. We have a new outro too. You guys will see that later on, so hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. Because as you're well aware, Rick and I had a very eventful weekend. So
yes, we did.
There's a lot to take in. This is probably part one of 3 parts of our festivities. Yeah. But it was a hell of a time. Through like postmen, through rain, through sleet, through cold. Didn't matter.
We had us a time, Tony. We had us a time.
Oh, did we ever? I mean, so it was good stuff. As everybody knows, Rocky Day was where we were. The day before, we were in Philly. Coming back, we were chatting with some people that we had met, so it was nice to see faces to names that we never met before. Yeah. But we have a very nice surprise today. I don't even want to bother chatting anymore. Let's just get this person on.
Oh, right.
You don't want to talk to us.
You and I talk all the time.
I know, right? Now, the gentleman that we're bringing on, I've known him for 5 years now, I think. And, it's funny. You used to be Instagram friends. Then you become more than that, which is nice. And finally get to meet each other a handful of times or a couple of times. But it's very anybody in the Rocky land, this person needs no introduction to who he is. But those that are not familiar, which, a lot of people don't know the Rocky world, so I get it. He's done a lot more than Rocky in his career. So basically, without further ado, let's bring on Mr. John Rivoli.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Hey, guys.
And there he is.
Hey, John.
How are you, John?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, the original. There it is.
I love that painting. That's on my Christmas list for sure.
Yeah, that's my favorite one too that I ever did.
Is it?
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Beautiful.
I know you keep it up, man. I'm gonna have to build an addition to the house and just keep, getting wall space.
I know,
right? It's tough. Yeah. There's so many. But anyway, so people that know the Rocky world know John. John is an accomplished artist in a lot of ways. He went to FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. I know he also studied in Italy, Florence, I believe, John.
Yes, that's right. Polymoda.
Yeah, okay. Yep, that's right. So why don't you give us a little background on how you go from, let me put this up without embarrassing you, but how do we go from fanboy, which that could be possibly the greatest picture I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
From fanboy to colleague.
I think I'm like 8 years old there.
That's
roughly something like
that. I had that poster in my basement. That is awesome.
Yeah, I remember that I won that poster.
Oh, really?
On the boardwalk in Seaside Heights, New Jersey. That's where I got that poster.
Nice.
Shout out to the Jersey Shore.
Do you still have that poster?
I do.
Oh, that's even better.
You do?
I do.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't, John. That's why I bought yours right here. Because I don't have that poster any longer. And I wanted it so bad.
That's what I looked at when I painted that piece. That's what I, was looking at as I was painting that actual poster. So, yeah, I mean, I was 8 years old in that poster. That was 76, right when it came out. And, I had seen it. My brother took me to go see that movie. My brother's older, and he took me to go see that movie. And, I just was going nuts. I was going bananas when I saw this movie. It was the coolest thing, one-arm push-ups and the music, It was the first time we saw this kind of cool, like, training, getting ready, getting pumped for something. It really wasn't in movies before that. Sly kind of, he really created that genre that became our thing. As 80s guys, that was our thing.
The training montage.
Yeah. So, and I saw it in the movie theater 13 times. I saw the original.
Wow.
Down in Lava Land, New Jersey. Yeah, I recently went back to where that theater used to be. It's a real estate office now, but I went to go visit that theater where I went to go see it all those years ago. And I was just fascinated, and I started drawing them right away. I was drawing everything in those days. Everything. And everything that I would see on TV of the, 13 channels that we had. I would watch something. I would record it, the recorder with the 2-button recorder things.
Yeah.
I would record a show like King Kong versus Godzilla, for instance. I would record it. And then after it was over, I'd draw a graphic novel of it to match up with the audio so that I could turn the pages and kind of rewatch it again.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I would do that with Elvis movies and Abbott and Costello, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, all that stuff. I would draw books of them because you couldn't record them in those days. You couldn't DVR it or record them or anything. So that was my way of kind of revisiting it. And I guess, just honing the skills the whole time. So I just kept drawing and drawing and drawing. That's why when people ask me today, when they see a painting, they're like, how long does it take you to do that? I always say a lifetime.
Sure.
Because this has been a full lifetime of me kind of preparing for this, and a lifetime of studying Rocky and drawing him since a little boy. All that comes through when I'm doing a painting or a piece.
Sure.
So, how do you go from that to becoming the official Rocky artist? I guess the in-between there is, I have a design agency, Rivoli Design Group here in New York, and I've been working for the movie studios for over 2 decades. And I work on film and television, doing artwork in many different areas, whether it's marketing, movie posters, artwork for consumer products. So when you see stuff in the stores in Walmart or Target and you see all those characters on packaging and shelves, I'm the guy who drew most of that stuff. I drew most of that art. Yeah.
Okay.
When people wanted to see my portfolio, I used to say, go to the toy aisles in Target and just look at that. Then you'll see it.
That's awesome.
I drew everything for SpongeBob for the first 15 years. I drew that cartoon, everything on it.
Okay.
Worked on Harry Potter since the first film, all the DC stuff, Batman versus Superman, the Marvel stuff, all that stuff that we worked on in all those different aspects that I mentioned. And the thing that broke me into that industry, and we talked about this a few minutes ago, was the vector artwork.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really interested to hear about this.
Yeah, because when I started in the business, there were no computers. We were doing everything by hand with markers. That's how we were doing artwork.
And were you doing the flip books too?
Yeah.
All
that stuff. And we would do everything by hand. You would do a Mickey Mouse. You would paint them with the brush, just a line, and then you'd paint the colors. And so that's how we did it back in those days. No computers. And then the computer came, and we were all starting to get excited to figure out what was what. And I worked closely with Adobe to develop what they call the pen tool. So what that does, it allows you to plot vector points on your graphic or your page, whatever you're working on. Because I knew if I had that tool, I could emulate what I've been doing by hand, but in the computer. Because what we would do when the computers came, we were still doing it by hand, but then we'd scan it and bring it into the computer and use it. But there were a lot of problems with that. You'd get little artifacts and things that were on the scan. It wasn't clean, and it was what you'd call a bitmap image, which is Photoshop. Photoshop is bitmap. Bitmap just means everything is based on resolution, 72 DPI or 300 DPI. You guys know the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Vector takes that out of the equation. Vector is not based on DPI at all. So whatever I create has flawless reproduction. So if I draw a Mickey Mouse on the computer, it can be blown up to fit on the Empire State Building and look perfect
with no distortion.
No distortion. It holds.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's what I did is I developed the ability to create animated characters in the computer with that tool, and it's called vector artwork. So I was the first to do that and went out and introduced it to all the studios, and their heads were kind of blown, like they didn't understand. And that's how I got in. So I started working with every studio on all of their characters because I was the guy who could do it as vector.
Sure.
Now a lot of people do it, but I still am kind of the go-to for a lot of the studios because and see, I had the ability, because I did it by hand, I could still make it look like it was done by hand in the computer because I know where the pressure was on the brush. And you press it.
Oh, wow.
The younger people today who only did it in the computer don't have that ability.
There's slight nuances
Yes.
in your painting, and then whether you're using a number, you're using it's been a while with the different pencils.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've picked up those pencils, but I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right. The
And
different line weights.
Yes.
What's pretty cool about it, though, also, Rick, is that it goes back to the roots of it. Now, obviously, the digitizing of it makes it, like you said, on the Empire State Building, but you're still going back to your roots where you know how to pressure this or know how to thin that, and you're still thinking back to when you use a brush or a pencil or a marker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was the whole point. That was my selling tools. And I said, listen, you'll still think I did it by hand when I give you this file. That was the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
So we started doing it for everything. And then when these theme parks started coming up in the last 10 years, that's when we really got called upon because they needed big art. They needed big art now.
Yeah.
And the Photoshop stuff couldn't do it. So here I come. I'm like, I can do it, So we did every single piece of art that's in Abu Dhabi at Warner World, we did every piece. And some of them are like, 300 feet tall.
Yeah.
So we did everything there. We did everything in Brazil at the Happy Haru theme park. We did everything at the Mall of America for Nickelodeon Universe or whatever it is. All that stuff you see with Dora the Explorer and SpongeBob, that's all us. Because we could create art that can go into large installations. So that was the claim to fame.
Can I take this one step further and ask you this question then? Is with the vector and the points, okay, I know I saw a video of you talking about using the 3D imaging for some of the Rocky sculptures that you've been working on.
Yeah.
So you're starting to delve into that next layer of 3D.
Well, it's funny because the vector, we did take it to the next step because we also started before CGI was a thing. We were doing this before the first Toy Story. Okay. And then Toy Story comes out. And now you got a whole other challenge. Well, how do you make that stuff vector? That's a whole different thing. To make line art is one thing, like coloring book. When I say line art, think of a coloring book.
Yes.
Flat, black and white, and then you fill in the color. That's one thing. But to do this CG rendered thing as vector, that was a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Which I solved because I had this patented technique I call 2.5D. So it's somewhere between 2D and 3D, but it looks exactly like the CG, but it's all vector. So the files are small file size, but you can blow those suckers up to put them on a bus or whatever you want.
Okay.
So that was the next step. So I do the 3D already. Now with the sculpts, that's a whole other thing. The guys you're talking about for Sly Stallone Shop. So they have great artists overseas in Italy. They have two really fabulous artists who do the actual 3D stuff. But I do all the overlays over them.
Right.
To show where the eyes are maybe off a little bit. Let's fix them out.
So now you're talking about the figures, correct, John?
Yes, the actual those guys. Yeah. So that head, that's my head right there.
Right.
Yeah. So they did it first and then sent it to me, and then I went to work. And then because I know Sly's face so well as that character, I can tell you where it's wrong if it were wrong. Right. And it was a little off here and there. And you guys have seen other figures from other companies. You see what's going on.
Yeah.
So we didn't want that to happen. And I didn't want that to happen. And I partnered with Nick Cordasco and we just went to town. So he and I together work on those heads until they are perfect. And if you could see how many of them we've done before we got what you just showed, I mean, you can't even imagine how many iterations of that head and the eyes and the mouth and the shoes and everything we did until we got it just right. Because Nick, to his credit, man, he is all about accuracy, like 1,000,000% accuracy to the film. So he and I kind of push each other, which is it's a good partnership.
That's
again, most of the people out there that follow Rocky Land know Nick. That's Nick there with John. And he is the co-founder of the Sly Stallone Shop. So he's a huge reason why we have all of these wonderful items now that we're getting that are so accurate and nice quality. And everybody loves to wear them. Because let's face it, there's been things out there for a long time, but they've been garbage.
Right. And he's a great guy. I have to say. I've got to know him really well over the past few years. What a great guy.
Good.
And it's good that the right guy is in the spot because, like I said, it's all about accuracy, especially with these fans. My gosh.
Well, I mean, the thing we just put up earlier, I mean, it looks like a photo.
Yeah, it does.
It looks like a behind the scenes photo that somebody snapped a slug.
And I just took that picture. I took that picture in the shop. Yeah. I just took out my phone and just a quick shot. So that's not like staged or airbrushed. Right. That is just took out my phone, took a shot. It came out good. So we've been using it. Yeah. But that just goes to show you how strong that figure is. It's
amazing. And then the one they released earlier, the Loan Shark one.
Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, look at that.
I mean, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Looks just like them.
Tony, that's the one I want you to buy me.
Okay. I'll put that on the Christmas list. There you go.
It's on my Christmas list, Tony.
So, John, you had mentioned the Sly Stallone shop, obviously, and everybody in Rocky Land knows of that. It's been around now for 5 years. And I remember when it first started, there was like 6 shirts or something to choose from. Yeah. I remember trying to argue with myself, should I get the Italian flag one or the American flag one?
Yeah, exactly.
Get both of them. And now look what it's blossomed into. I mean, can you dwell on that a little bit? I mean, I know you had some stuff with the Rambo artwork. Can you discuss some more what's going on with the Slice of Life and where that's headed? Yeah,
sure. I mean, look, you saw the action figures, so obviously I'm doing the artwork for those boxes for all of them. Cobra, Rambo, and all the Rocky stuff, and there's a lot more coming. And that's actually how I started, was doing the box art,
Right.
And then it's grown, obviously into the other areas. But, Nick had the concept of creating the John Rivoli collection, which is what they're doing now, which is going to be coming out soon. So if you go to their site, you'll see a tab for it, the John Rivoli collection. So he's handpicking some of my paintings that he's going to put on shirts.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember I asked you about the Butkus one. I was like, I would love to have a shirt with that. My younger daughter loves the Butkus, loves the dogs.
Yeah.
It's perfect to have something like that.
That's one of them. I actually wore that shirt at the Rocky Run. So
nice.
I had a prototype of it. So nice. So that's what they're doing now, which I think is really exciting. It's a really cool thing because a lot of people have asked me over the years if the art was ever going to be on tees, and that's not what I do, but these guys are, so it's a perfect partnership.
Good.
That's
awesome.
No, I agree. I mean, I understand it's not something that you might have promoted before, but along with the shop, I think you're right. I think it's a perfect pairing.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Great stuff. Now, you had just said that you wore that shirt at the Rocky Run. We have you here signing some of the Rocky Run specialty 10-year anniversary posters there.
Yeah.
So, want to chat with what it's like to be at the Rocky Run? I mean, I heard this year there was the most people that they've ever had.
Yeah, they were over 14,000 people were there this year.
Wow,
and to give you some perspective, like last year, we were, I think, just under 9,000. So it's a major, major leap. And I've been doing it for a few years now, and it's a phenomenal event. It's such a well-run event. The organizer of that, Nate Barnhart, who runs it, this guy is just a master at running events. When I watch them go into production of like taking this blank space, and before you know it, it's like transformed into this event space. And even, in front of the Rocky Steps in the Oval, I watch that. It's like bare when I get there. And then when I turn around, it's just set up for the whole event with all the different, tents and everything else. It's an incredibly run event. And I mean, it's wonderful because all the Rocky fans come out. So, we're all kind of under one roof per se. Yeah. And it is just a wonderful time because, everybody's got a story. You guys know that everybody's got a story and they want to tell it. So I get to hear a lot of fantastic stories. They all want to tell me, and I'm happy to listen. I love those stories. Mm-hmm. And, I take a picture with every one of them. So it's a wonderful event. And my favorite part really is the kids. You know, there's so many kids that the families bring with them, and they're these little Rocky fans. They get it. They know it already, you know, and it's so fun for me. I have a TV set up on my table showing different videos and clips, and the kids are just glued to it.
Oh, my God.
We have these little kids glued. Like Sly would love it if he saw it. He loves anything with the kids.
Yeah.
Rocky. So I always tell them there's some good parenting going on out there.
Absolutely. I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. It's generational. I mean, it really is. It's generational.
For sure.
It's the story that's told is something that is of comics superheroes. I mean, it really is. Batman's been around. Superman's been around.
Right.
Rocky's going nowhere.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to stand the test of time. It's just going to be there
for sure.
You know, and as long as we keep on passing it down.
Yeah, we got to
who don't. Oh my God.
Yeah. And that poster you showed, that was a huge hit. That's the first time I've done that. You know, Nate asked me to do that. So it was such a success. We're going to do it every year. We're going to do an exclusive piece of art just for the run.
Oh, nice.
An exclusive one. Yeah. So we're working on it now already. We're already working on it.
Rick, I guess we got to start booking some hotels every year now.
I know, right? And like you said earlier, Tony,
I haven't been to it in Philly, and you guys know I do it down here in Florida when I get the virtual medal and stuff. But
you should see it in Philly, Tony. It is really a thing to see, you know, because race day, you know, we're there at like 4 a.m. You set your alarm for 3. We're there at 4, getting it all set up, and people start coming in, and the light starts coming up over the museum. You see it starting to illuminate, and they're blasting Rocky music already.
Oh,
and the city is shut down. Like there's no cars, nothing. It's just us. It's truly Rocky Land for that day.
Awesome.
So if you're like you have to, and there's people dressed up as Paulie, as Tommy Morrison, you know, of course Rocky, and all these people in cosplay walking around. It is really something fun.
I saw some pictures. People had the big heads.
Yeah,
more than just the big heads.
Yeah, no, it is really something to behold. It really is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear about the poster. That's going to be every year. Because I loved it. I thought it was fantastic looking. I mean, it's going to be great 10-year. So now every year. That's awesome.
I'm going to send you guys your posters. So
I'm going to build more. Tony, like you said, we're going to build more walls.
Serious.
I have like a maze down here.
I feel horrible. Like I got space. I got space over here. That's my Rocky versus Drago, but it doesn't fit there. I got to move this up. But you know, it's a puzzle. You got to just figure out
these two right here. Bingo.
Yeah.
John, you and I kind of talked about that when I ordered them. They're my birthday presents.
Yeah.
From my wife, and those are, you come down the stairs, they're right there. You know, the first thing people see. Yeah,
I love that ring piece you have behind you. I know Sly loves that. He posted that one immediately when I sent it to him. I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this. You know, he posted it. Yeah. And I was immediately I sold the original painting within minutes. Yeah, some guy drove down from Connecticut to get it.
Wow.
I'm just like, yeah, I want it. So
nice.
Yeah.
I love that. I always get confused.
I love that piece.
So John, does Sly have any input? Oh, I know he has some input, obviously, but so how do you choose your pieces you're going to do? Like what's going on in your head where you say, okay, I just did this one. I want to look into this scene in this film or whatever it may be. Or does Sly suggest to you, hey, let's do something from 3? Or how does that process work? If you could let us know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what you said, where I'm just kind of exploring. And it's actually the longest part of doing a piece is coming up with what it's going to be, the concept, you know?
Okay.
Because I don't want it to be so obvious either. Mm-hmm. I like to call it first bus. I never take the first bus. I let that bus drive by. I let the second bus drive by. I like to get on the third bus or so. So whatever my concept is, I'm like, okay, but if I thought of it, somebody else had to think of it. So let's forget that. Let's go deeper. What else can we do? So the hard part is just exploring down to find that thing, you know, that maybe hasn't been done before, hopefully hasn't been done before, or I can reverse looking at it.
Right. So I love when you do that. Oh, I love that.
You probably saw the newest one that I did that with, I Shall Rise, which I'm so happy with that piece because I love round 14. It's my favorite moment. of any movie. Actually, it's my favorite moment. And so now I've got like 6 paintings of round 14 because I keep going back into it. But I really was always fascinated with, that priceless look on Apollo when he's like, this guy. I mean, what am I going to do with this guy? He just won't stop coming.
He just won't stay down.
I wanted to see what he was in his sight line. What exactly was he looking at? So I wanted to make sure that Rocky was just giving him that look, like looking right at him, that I'm coming back, man. I'm coming right back up and at you, So I remember I finished that piece. I sketched it first and I sent it to Sly just to kind of get his input. Do you think this is a good idea? And he's like, oh, it's a brilliant idea. Okay. So then I went and painted it and I sent it to him. And I remember he wrote something like, you captured in one piece what Rocky stands for in that one painting, where he puts his hand on that rope and he's looking right at Apollo with no fear and is just pushing himself up, and that's really Rocky. So I was just, I was so happy with that piece. And that's the kind of thing that I do, so to answer your question, like it took me a while to get to that, because I'm like, I want to go back into 14. I want to find something, something else. I already reversed it so we could see Apollo's ribs getting crushed. We want to see his face. Like I'm always kind of changing around. So that's kind of the thing. If I could find that third bus idea, then I'm golden, because
like a subtlety that, like you said, that people overlook or whatever, and you just find that little nuance in there. One of the ones is like Rocky V, when he's just after he throws his coat down and he's just standing there, it's just a subtlety that just makes you want to stand up, and just get going.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most impactful things I hear from fans when I do a piece like I just talked about, I Shall Rise, is they say that it feels like they're seeing Rocky for the first time again.
Yeah.
Because they're getting to see it, something they haven't seen that's in the shop. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying not to just copy pictures.
Sure.
Basically anybody can do. I'm trying to go way deeper than that. I do it like Rocky 3. It's so famous. You got to do it. Rocky and Adrian behind you. Like there are certain things that you have to do. Out of pure respect, you have to do,
Sure.
And I still try to, flip them around a little bit and do stuff to them. But
for anybody that hasn't seen Rise yet, I'm sorry to interrupt you, John. But
that's awesome.
There it is.
Look at him looking at Apollo.
Yeah.
And look at Apollo. I got him. He's like a gladiator, like a warrior, just standing over. He looks so powerful, Which he is.
That was one of the things when you said you went to the movies when you were 8. Well, I was 10 when I went and I saw Rocky with my dad, and that scene where Apollo shakes his head. I'm 10 years old. I didn't even have any experience in life yet. And I looked at my father and I said to him, I go, look at him. He's saying no. He doesn't even want to go after him anymore.
Right.
It's just it was such a memorable, impressionable moment. Like you said, that whole round 14 moment. And that we don't see. Yeah. It's just, sums it up. Beautiful.
Yeah. I try to do those things that aren't seen because, that's one of the things I learned while I was in Italy. I learned how to paint in Italy. That's really where I learned how to paint.
Okay.
I had the most amazing instructors, and we were surrounded by the greatest artwork that's ever been done.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. You could see every stroke of it right in front of you. And that's where I learned that, art should be life, but better. Better. We should bring something to it. So it's not about copying the thing. It's not about that. That's not art. That's just reproducing, but if you could bring something to it, make a person stop and look at it and hopefully show them something they've never seen before and make them think about it, then that's art. Yeah. That's the whole point of it. And what is kind of my North Star is that I'm always trying to find that thing. So people will say, I've never seen that. I didn't think about that, the way you did that. That's the goal for me. And every so often I achieve that, and that's the big shining moment.
Who was your favorite painter, your inspiration. Where do you get that inspiration from? I mean, most artists will have someone that they kind of gravitate towards, or I don't want to say emulate, but they
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, Caravaggio.
Okay.
Caravaggio was my absolute favorite Italian painter. I got to see his work in person in Italy. I got to recreate it, because we had to go. One of the things we did as students is we would bring our supplies and sit in the museum in front of a piece of your choosing and paint it, repaint it right there with everybody watching you.
That's intense.
Yeah,
that's intense.
It is intense because you're on display doing it. But I did them. I still have those pieces. They hang in my house. And he was such a master of storytelling in his art. What I was just talking about. He goes deep. There's a lot of stuff hidden in there. And the thing that he really, really made popular was a technique called chiaroscuro, which is my favorite thing. It's the use of extreme lights and darks. So a lot of his paintings are almost black, but you see this focal point in there. It's very black, and then there's this thing that's the focus. And that's such a great technique because it tells the viewer a lot. It tells you what's important, what you should be looking at, and what you should be searching for in those shadows. What's in there? Why is it dark? There's got to be a reason. There must be something in there. So you go searching for it. Yes. Yeah. And I think that in my resurrection piece, where that is pure chiaroscuro right there. That I did. I mean, I went right back to everything I ever learned in Italy for that piece, where I just lit him. I lit Rocky, and everybody fades around him into darkness. And if you look very, very closely, you'll see the guys, the fans who were heckling him. You remember the guys who were heckling him in that opening scene? You're a bum. You're a, all those people. Those are the bad guys. The bad guys. So I put them in the shadows because that's where they belong. And you search for them. So that's the kind of it should be so thought out when you do a painting. It should be so thought out. It's not about taking the picture of the Rocky III poster and just side by side. There it is.
Sure.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Great. Good job. But. I'm not going to stop and spend time on that. I need to.
Right. Yeah. It's what did you bring to it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your passion. That's amazing. I mean, I love that.
Yeah. That's why when I do one, there's a reason why I'm doing it. I don't just wake up and say, what am I going to paint today? It's like,
right. There's got to be something there.
It's a very long process.
Yeah, it is. I'm searching.
So as everybody knows, Rocky Day was this past weekend. And John brought this beautiful piece to the Rocky store.
Love it.
And what made you want to pick that piece to the store, John? Just because it's the steps? He's at the top of the steps? Or was there more to it than that?
A couple things. One, it fit the space. Two, yes, it's Philly all the way. It's him on top of the steps, but it's all that graffiti and street art. Philly is known as the #1 street art city in the world.
Really?
Oh, wow.
As it should be, because if you start moving around the city and taking a look and look up, you will see the most amazing murals. I mean, real murals, not this thrown together crap. I mean, stuff that could be in a museum in Italy on these brick walls, right? Beautiful stuff. So I wanted to bring that because they're really known for their graffiti as well. And maybe most importantly, that is Nick's favorite painting of mine. So I wanted to bring it in.
Okay. Perfect.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it perfectly worked out. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So that original painting hangs in there so that people can see, one of my original pieces. That's going to fly now too. It's called.
Beautiful. And then a couple other shots here in the store with the merchandise, obviously. It was a rainy day. But
yes, it was. It's actually getting strong now too. Yeah, but look at all those people, right? That was a beautiful shot. I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, it's just they were all the way at the top of the steps to the front of the podium.
Can you imagine if it was a nice day?
Oh,
I know.
God, yeah.
Yep.
Have any of you guys seen any of the pictures from the drone?
No. I haven't.
No. Okay.
So, John, you obviously had a lot more behind the scenes than the average person. There we are with Sly at the statue himself.
Yeah, I love that photo.
You know, look at that. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
No, it's just a beautiful photo. I always love seeing, because we have such a mutual respect as artists. That's really what it's based on. It's just two artists who respect each other's work and like to talk about art. That's really what it mostly is, which is perfect for me.
And the fact that he's talking about your art and his art, because he created Rocky and he created what you're doing. It must be surreal. It really must be it's like the perfect match.
To collaborate with like your boyhood idol.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're well past that, but in the beginning, there had to have been some fanboy in there.
For sure. Yeah. Listen, I still remember the first time I met him, I mean, I had seen him at events. You stand outside, but the first time I met him, and it was really quite amazing because I got to meet him as more of colleague than fanboy, which was great because MGM brought me to him.
Okay.
Introduced me as, this is our Rocky aficionado. We flew him in from New York because this is when you talk about how I got to be the official Rocky artist, I mean, this is the story. I knew MGM had Rocky and they were a client. I was already doing work for them. I was doing Pink Panther. I was doing RoboCop, different things for them. And I remember saying, listen, if you guys ever do anything with Rocky, please call me,
Okay.
I'll bring a lot to this. Trust me. They didn't know yet. Yeah. And I did that for years, guys. Years.
Yeah.
They sat on that, but I just kept every so often when I was talking about something else, I would throw it in. And
That's awesome.
And then it was coming up to the 35th anniversary, and they came to me and said, "Okay, here's your moment." So I had to create a whole collection of artwork just to commemorate Rocky.
Yeah.
Just because there was a big anniversary coming. So I did all of this art. And what I didn't know is that they were planning a surprise for me so that when I was done, they were going to fly me out and let me present all this art to Sly.
Oh, my God.
So that's how I got in front of them. They flew me out. I got changed in the car that they picked me up in, after the flight, went right to Sly's office in Beverly Hills. I set up all the art on the table, and then I just waited, with the MGM people.
Yeah.
And I tell this story. I've told it before, but I'll never forget the first impression was I heard his voice. He was talking as I was going down the hallway, and that deep baritone voice.
Yeah.
When you hear it in person, it is so strong. It just resonates, and I just heard him. I said, he's here.
Yeah.
He's here. He's coming. He's coming. And I remember I was looking straight out the door down this long hall, and then he just came and he turned down this hall and just started coming towards us.
Oh.
And that's when MGM introduced me as the aficionado. And we got right into it as artists. It wasn't like, oh, I'm a fan. Oh my God,
Yeah.
You're my guy, and I want to be you. None of that nonsense. It was like all about art. He was looking at the art. He liked the art. Then he was asking me questions. How did you do this? How did you achieve this texture in the painting? And I'm thinking, I remember I called my dad that night. I'm like, yeah, Rocky was asking me how I did something. Just so you know. He wants to know how I painted something.
But there's that mutual respect between artists.
Absolutely, because I knew his work too. And he, to me, he's an amazing painter. I love his stuff. I would give anything to have one of his pieces. I just love that style, that abstract, impressionistic kind of style that he has.
That's got to go and mean even more to you, though, John. Not only was he respecting your work because you took the essence of Rocky, put it where he's, but also to hear him from a technical artist point of view. So you got the best of both worlds, getting compliments. That just had to be remarkable.
It was as good as it could be. It was none of this. I'm a huge fan. I've seen every movie. I didn't have to do any of that. And if you take that out of the equation, it's a great way to meet your hero.
It's
a great way.
Sure.
You know,
here's a shot of John and Sly when they did meet. That was the first time there.
Yeah. So this was after. This was actually after. So that story I just told you was the 35th, and then the 40th came around, and MGM came back
the 40th. Okay.
To do another art program for the 40th. And that photo that you just showed was right after I finished it. I had just finished it. And a month before that photo, I ran into Sly, and he actually asked me to do that painting. He asked for that one. You know, he showed me the space that it was going to hang, and he talked about it. And it was his concept. It was his idea to have Rocky larger than life, you know, standing above the city and whatnot. Right, there it is. That was his concept. And he was talking me through it. And he's like, you know, so you want to do it? And I'm like, there's nobody better, Sly. I'll do it. I was cringing that I said that. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I said it, but I didn't know what else to say. It just came out.
Yeah, sure.
It just came out, you know. So I went back to New York. I painted that and flew out. And that was the day that I was bringing it to him. And it just so happened that the paparazzi was there tracking him. So that's why that whole moment was filmed. They just happened to be there. But you can see how happy he is. He was so happy as an artist with that. Look at him. He's so happy with that. I remember that. That's what I remember most about that day was the look on his face, you know. And I thought, boy, I'd like to do that a lot if I could make him.
If you have the chance, absolutely.
And he took that and he hung it in the space, and then he asked me for 2 more. He's like, do 2 more, 1 on each side. And that's when Cafe Roma had those 3 paintings. That's why they were there. And then people were contacting me asking how they could get prints of them or something. And that's how Icons in Art came to be. I started thinking there might be something here, you know, rather than me just doing this, you know, for Sly and to hang, maybe we can get them to the fans as well. And that's why I started Icons in Art and do the, you know, the limited edition prints of all that stuff that you see there. But that was the very first one, that 1 million to 1 shot. And he has that one he has in his house.
Does he?
Yeah. And I still love that piece. It's perfect. It's Rocky. Because I remember the one thing I brought to the table when he was describing that is I said, can I please just put him in the leather? Because that's Rocky. Rocky's the guy on the dock with the ball. Yeah. People think he's a bum. That's Rocky. That's what we all connect with. You know, we're that guy looking for that 1 shot. We just want our 1 shot, right? So that was the one thing I brought. So I still love that painting to death. I just am so pleased with it. And it's funny, when I was packing it, the guy in the FedEx store was like, how come he's not holding the ball? I was like,
hey, you knew about it.
Son of a bitch. So if you see the ball is in there, is it really? I didn't ship it. It's in the hand on Sly's side.
Okay.
I went home. I got black paint and a brush, and I ran back to the FedEx store and I painted in the ball, let it dry, and then shipped it.
My God, that's funny.
You're right. The ball should be there.
That's awesome.
The random FedEx guy made the difference.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly.
You know what's so endearing about Sly? The fact is, you know, just a little bit here. A lot of stars who will portray an iconic character will tend to try to gravitate away from that character.
Yeah. They
don't want to be just, you know, known as that. But he embraces it.
Who wouldn't?
I know. I mean, you know, I'm thinking of other actors who I'm like, no, I don't want to be known as just Batman, or I don't want to be known as this. He just embraces it. And you just said, why wouldn't you? Millions of people adore him.
And one of the big differences there that you just said is those are actors playing a role. He created the character.
Yeah. Right.
They didn't create Batman. They didn't create the Terminator. They didn't create those things. He created it. So it's a different attachment. So you got to imagine, it's like me with my first painting. You bet I'm going to embrace it. I don't care what anybody says. I love that piece. And I can only put myself in his shoes that if I created Rocky, you bet I'd embrace it.
Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful character. It's clearly the biggest pop culture icon character of all time. So Yeah, I would run towards it, not away.
And you were, obviously you were there. We were there for, Rocky Day. People are yelling Rocky. They're right. They're yelling Rocky.
He's walking by high waiting people, and they're Rocky. And
he's one and the same. That's what they see him as.
Yeah.
To them, Rocky's real. Rocky's the real person.
Yeah.
To the fans, And it was a great day, wasn't it? I mean,
it was an amazing day.
The energy in that plaza.
Oh yeah.
I mean, oh my God. And it didn't matter that it was raining. It didn't matter when he got there, and it just, people went nuts. And it was like, if you weren't there, I felt sorry for you, because that was the place to be,
Oh, God. I mean, any Rocky fan that is a fan or a super fan, or any, I mean, absolutely. That's why Rick and I'm like, there's no way we're missing this.
Yeah.
No way we're missing this for the world.
It was absolutely just wonderful. And, to the credit of the shop, Sly Stallone shop, put that event on. And
Tony and I had a lot of thank yous come our way, because we were live feeding when we could. And when I was getting them, I haven't really discussed this so much with Tony, but, just kind of going back and looking through stuff from all over the world, thanking me for live feeding that so that they could see it, because they were unable to be there. Like, it's my pleasure, my God,
Yeah. No, I ship art all over the world.
Yeah.
All over the world. And it's funny. I think I ship the most to the UK, by the way.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
That must be a real Rocky land. That's all I can say. I've been there many times on buying trips, but I wasn't looking through those eyes. But boy, that must be some Rocky place. In fact, I think I mentioned that I now have a store in the UK that is carrying my artwork exclusively.
Like brick and mortar?
Yeah, brick and mortar. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Retro by Ronnie, it's called. You should look it up on Facebook. Yes. Retro by Ronnie. And Ronnie approached me, he and his brother, and they wanted to do this thing. And we've been working on it for months. And he just, I think about a month ago, opened it, premiered it. And, it's doing really, really well.
Well, it seems like you just said with the fan base there, why wouldn't it? I mean, you've got beautiful pieces. If you could walk into a brick and mortar and be like, look at all, the Rivolis, and be like, oh my God,
he's got them all.
That would be crazy.
Framed up and stuff, nice. It's really impressive. He did an amazing job. I'm gonna have to go over there at some point. I should do an art show in the UK. I mean, that is just like I said. I think that's where I sell the most art is the UK.
Really?
I think
amazing.
so.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, you see on the shop, like whenever the shop posts, the Sly Stallone shop. I'm sorry, just calling it the shop.
Yeah.
Whenever they post something new, if they have a new item in the comments, easy 2 dozen comments. Do you ship to Brazil? Do you ship to Australia? Wherever.
Yep.
I mean, and to the shop's credit, they answer everybody.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, we do, or no, we don't. There's, not many no, they don't, but yes, we do, or no, we don't, or whatever. But they do answer them. They go and answer them right there. And
I think the goal is to get Rocky stuff to everybody who wants it. Like we want every house to have Rocky in it.
Yeah.
I know
every house would be a better place if Rocky was in it, right? Come on.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So what's the future plans? Are you able to discuss or shed some light on that?
I have a couple of big things cooking that I'm working on that aren't finalized to the point where I could announce, but I have something planned for the 50th anniversary that I'm working on now with MGM. We're just going through some of the details, so there'll be something there. And when that's for real, I'll come back and we'll chat about it.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
And I'm in final negotiations with Golden Boy Productions.
Oh yeah.
To do a crossover thing.
Oh,
so that's close as well. So when that's done, I'll let you guys know too. So there's a couple of big things happening.
Okay.
Sweet.
On the heels of that, I just found out. I'm sorry, Tony.
No, go ahead.
On the heels of that, I just found out that Stitch Duran.
Yeah.
He's going to be at the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Oh wow!
This coming year.
Yeah.
I think he's being inducted. I just heard about it.
Amazing.
Looking forward to meeting him.
Sure. Yeah.
I did meet him once on Creed 2.
Yeah.
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to seeing him again.
Oh, that's great.
So is there any upcoming stuff for the shop that you're allowed to discuss yet, John? Or is that still kind of being discussed and in the wraps, and then we'll find out later?
No, well, I as far as it relates to me, the line of clothing with my art is something upcoming and exciting. The love piece that I did, you may know, the love piece, that's being used on a lot of different things. You probably saw it in the store.
Yeah.
They have mugs and shirts.
Yeah.
I saw Christmas ornaments today. So that's going to be a big
you
piece.
did?
Yeah, for them. And then more action figures, more statues,
nice,
cool statues are coming. Iconic moments that are captured in sculpt are coming. So you guys are going to really, really love it. And if you notice, this is something that Nick did. He went out and got the rights to Converse, so we're the only ones with Converse sneakers on our statues, right? Yeah, we got the rights to Tough Wear. We're the only ones with Tough Wear on the gloves. And now he's working on another thing. So you get this other one, and we will be in a league of our own when it comes to sculpts and figures and statues. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The level of just accuracy.
Yeah,
that's what they're going for. So you should buy your sculpts and figures from those guys because they're the real deal.
That's a no-brainer. I mean, you get what you pay for with the other ones. Not only are they crappy quality, but the likeness is nothing. Like you just said, the gloves don't have a band on them; they'll just have a white rectangle.
Yeah, or it'll say Rocky, or it'll say Rocky. But that Tough Wear on there, that's huge.
That's great. And let's face it,
years that's all we could get, though.
Exactly, they want that authenticity. They want it to be, because the real fans are going to look at it and be like, "Oh, that's really cool." Well, how come his gloves don't say Tough Wear, or whatever? Everlast on the shorts.
And you know what the advantage is that having access to Sly, we can ask questions, and we can also see the stuff that he still has and photograph it and be able to get it down to the stitch count of what it looks like when you look at the shamrock thing on the back of the robe. So when we do things like that, it'll be dead on accurate.
That's amazing.
Because we have access to the man and all the stuff.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So,
amazing stuff.
Do you think you'll be having a booth set up or a tent at the next? Will there be a next Rocky Day? I
don't know. I don't know. What I was trying to accomplish there is that, and I think Sly touched on this, that the museum would love for more people to come inside, right?
Okay, sure.
All the fans come there, they run up the step, they run up to the front door, basically, and they turn it up. So what I was talking to the museum about was, well, why don't we do a Rocky art exhibit in here? Let me bring my original paintings and give these fans a reason to come inside. Show them in to see that, and then let them walk through the rest of the museum.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is what
great idea.
That's what my goal is. I talked to a few of the folks, and I'm going to continue those discussions. I think that's a no-brainer, to have a Rocky art exhibit. I think so. If I can make that happen,
I agree. And like you said, once you get in the building, you start walking around. My daughter and I were in New York a couple months ago. She wanted to go to the Modern Museum of Art. I don't really care for modern art. I didn't think I did.
Right.
And when we're walking around in there, and she's showing me this, and Sophia and you talked in LA about art because she has
love your daughter. Classes. Love your daughter.
She's a piece of work.
Yeah.
She's telling me about this art. She's like, "Oh, Daddy, look at this here," and he has he's explaining it to me, Pollock, and
absolutely.
I wound up getting into it because I was already in the building seeing things I've never seen.
That's exactly it. So I'm hoping that I can just translate those fans into customers into the museum to get them in.
Sure.
What a great idea.
Yeah, they should go in and see the art that's in there. Their art is magnificent, and you are so fulfilled spiritually when you expose yourself to great art. and it's right there. So those guys, the fans should be going inside, go inside and see this art. So if I can do anything to help that happen, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you could definitely be that bridge.
That's what I'm hoping. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, speaking of the museum, I don't know how much, information you can give, but there was an event inside the museum that most of us didn't know about.
Yeah, there was a reception in the museum after all the festivities outside for a select few folks. Nice. Sly was there. He gave another address to the crowd talking about art and things, and got to meet some different people. It was food. It was a whole thing. It was
nice.
Nice. People walking around with drinks and stuff like that. And it was really just an opportunity for him to meet some more folks. Did you know who was there that I forgot his first name? O'Neill, the guy who killed bin Laden.
Yes.
He was there.
Yes. Oh, the Marine. Yeah.
What's his first name?
I forget his name. It's his handle is like McUa or something, or Uwa for the Marines. I know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah, he was there. That's pretty awesome, And of course, Chevy Chase was there.
Right, which was a complete shock.
Huge shock. What's even more shocking is I wound up in a car with him driving around.
That's amazing.
Did you really?
Between taking our photos and that reception event, that he drove to the back, I somehow wound up in that car with him and Patrick and driving to that event. So that was a lot of fun.
I saw your post on that today, and I think I commented. I'm like, 2 legends in one day. How did you sleep? Right? How did you sleep?
Exactly, because I'm a huge Chevy. I mean, Fletch. Fletch is here. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, John. So when Chevy was up under the tent and they were starting to do the picture taking.
I was there with them. Yeah.
Right. I'm yelling, Fletch! Fletch. I love Fletch.
Me too. Oh my God.
And I don't know if he's just, ignoring or couldn't hear, but I'm like, I gave it a couple of shots, but
one of my favorite characters of his, Fletch.
Yeah.
So great. Oh my God. And of course, Christmas Vacation. If you're a Christmas fan, which I am, a huge Christmas fan, meet Clark Griswold. Okay. Okay. Pretty good day.
Well, as big as that was, and all the people that were there, and by the way, the gentleman's name was Robert O'Neill, that the Marine.
Robert, that's it. That's him.
I didn't want to disrespect him by just saying.
No, I told the shop guys because they know him. I'm like, get his information because I'm sending him art. I'm just sending him art.
That's awesome.
That's a treasure. We want to thank that guy for what he did.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
but as big as Rocky Day was, I mean, they could really. The ball's in their court. I mean, they could have it be. They could combine it with the Rocky Run and art museum and make it a 2-3 day event. And Rocky heads around the world would flock to it.
I think it would be too much for the Rocky. You've already got 14,000 plus people. If you find out Sly's, I think that gets out of control and it's total. You just don't know what's going to happen.
You're right. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you're absolutely right, because I was standing in the one area where the line started for the pictures to go with Sly. And then they had to usher him past me for this picture so he can cut the ribbon in front of the store. The only entranceway was where I was standing. So I had to move back, and they were pushing back the barrier. Now, I tell you, I mean, I'm not a small person. And I was holding on to that thing for dear life, and people were pushing. The police, the security was like everybody. They lost control of themselves. They just wanted to touch him. They wanted to just touch his shoulder or touch his hand.
That's for sure. Amazing. Yeah. So you got to be so careful. A lot could go wrong.
You're right. You're right. You don't think of it like that sometimes.
A lot could go wrong. So when it goes as well as it did, you got to really give props to the guys who organized it. Because
absolutely,
they pulled off a really successful and safe event.
Absolutely. It was perfect. So, well, John, we couldn't thank you enough for being on, man. I mean, this was great stories, great stuff, and we're looking forward to more.
Yes, thank you.
More to come. We'll have to have some more on the show and discuss more later.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
I learned a lot from you tonight. I really did. I mean, I took art in college and stuff like that, and just this vector that was very, very interesting. The insight on that was huge.
Thank you.
Loved it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
You know, the problem
for all your artwork.
You know what the problem is, Rick? That I didn't know at the time because it was all happening so fast. It was the Wild West when computers first hit, and you got to Photoshop and those things. It was really the Wild West. What I found out shortly after creating what I did is that I could have patented it and licensed the technology to every movie studio out there. To this day, I mean, you know, that's like money that you can't even imagine. That
sure.
But there's like a statute of limitations on using something, and if you use it for too long, it becomes out there.
Public domain.
Yeah. But I could have changed my life.
There would have been a lot of zeros attached to that.
It changed my life.
Oh,
well, he's still got a pretty good life, giving us all the Rocky art that you give us. So
great. I'm happy every day when I get up and I do what I do. Very happy.
Well, you know, you're doing stuff you love. It's not work.
Yeah, you know that old saying: if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
That's exactly it. I mean, I'm doing this stuff until I can't do it every day. You know, it's like 16, 17 hours, and then I just collapse. But I don't want to stop, or I lose light. You know, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
Well,
like I said, John, we couldn't thank you enough, and we'll definitely have you on again and talk about future projects once they're released.
Thank you so much.
Great. I look forward to that. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wow, Tony. What a great guy. Love him.
I mean, him and I started talking years ago. We were chatting about images and posters, this and that, and you know, we just kind of clicked and hit it off. And when I met him at the LA event, I just felt like I knew him already for like 20 years. Plus, he's from Jersey, not really where I'm from, but he did hang out in one of the malls where I used to hang out. He hung out in Monmouth Mall. So I was up in Middletown area, so a little further to him. Okay. So, you know, kind of connection. But super great guy. I mean, he's knowledgeable about he doesn't just put anything Rocky out there, like you said. He doesn't just copy a magazine cover or a poster or a scene. So couldn't be happier. Thank you so much again, John, for coming on. We'll definitely have him on again. And
love to.
This was a great part one of our little weekend.
Yeah, what a great kickoff, right?
Right?
We'll get into
see everybody next week. We'll be talking more about Rocky Day. We'll talk about our road trip to Philly and see all that. And
Tony and Rick's excellent adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Take care.
Yeah, thanks for showing up.